welcome back CNG 132 to our last week, week 10. As I read through the discussions, once again they were excellent. This week, let's see, is our last week. We actually go through till the 8th. Make sure to have all assignments in the 8th because I enter grades that Thursday morning just to make sure they get entered in the system correctly. Let's go back and cover a few things first. I got a few emails on where to turn in the security policy. And my view, when I mimic a student, looks similar to this. I see activities, assignments. In the Dropbox, at the very bottom, I see the security Dropbox, the security policy Dropbox. So make sure you put it in there. If you're not seeing it, do change this results per page higher, or make sure you go to the next page over. If you're only showing, I believe it's 20 is the minimum. Yeah, 20 and 10 and 100. I just usually set that to 50 if I know the class. Kaplan and Transcender, both of these are used. One is used to show me that you have access. You get 100% on that quiz. With the Kaplan test, you need to show me a screenshot you can send me a screenshot of anything and you'll get 100%, but you want to make sure that you're sending me a screenshot of a score that is above 70, or I should say above 69%, so 70% and higher, and this will move your test scores to 100%, so you'll have 5 test scores, hopefully with all 100% at the end of the course. Some other information I was asked is for the security policy, what do I need to do? If we go out to SANS.org, I think it's resources, security policy project, and you can click on any of these. Let's click on general this time. Ethics policy. So if we look at this policy and break it down into chunks, you see that the title of the policy is at the top. When you choose your own policy for your own company, choose any sort of policy you want. You can choose from the SANS list. You can even make up a security policy. That is fine. Maybe everybody needs everybody at the enterprise needs a multi-pass to enter the premises. Maybe that's your security policy or one of your security policies. So we look at the contents, overview, purpose, scope, the actual policy, and then we scroll down here to policy compliance. Then you go to related standards and policies and processes, because we kind of learned this in the book last week that there are guidelines, policies, processes, and they all relate to each other. Some are help form the other ones. Any terms that you use that, I don't know, I would say maybe a junior high student does not know, make sure you define those terms. And then of course you can add the revision history if you want. That would be extra. So for the policy, you should get you should do 2 policies, and your project will probably be somewhere around 3 pages. That's usually the normal length of it. Make sure your security policies are definitely over 2 pages. If it is under 2 pages, that's not enough material. You will get dinged for that, so make sure that you do have that over 2 pages. Let's see, for the discussion for this week, it does change. We're not talking about book content no more, and discussion-based content from the book, case projects from the book. We take a look at what you can do. Where did I put it? Oh, here we go. For this week's discussion, I want you to do some reflecting and forecasting. What did you learn and that can be applied in the future? I just had an interesting conversation Monday with a CSU doctor who's developing a cybersecurity course, and it's so important that you guys get these basic security courses in, because they show you so many concepts of faces of security. So we learned that, there's cybersecurity can be network, it can be server, it can be what did we do last week? Teaching employees how to be secure. It can be social engineering. There's so many different aspects of security that when you take this course, you should start to look at, see, how can I apply this to my life? So do some reflecting, some forecasting. Maybe there was something that you do that you want to talk about and say, hey, look, I used to do this, but now I'm going to change it so I do this. One of the things that I always kind of hated, or I should say I like the most, is social engineering, because it's so prevalent in our society. In the sales, we get pressured to buy stuff. Well, that's social engineering. So definitely take a look at those aspects. Maybe you like something, they say, hey, look, I learned this and I'm going to take this forward with me. Make sure to follow the same format. Post your initial discussion by Saturday. Make sure you do those 2 replies before Tuesday night, because once again, I'll be grading Wednesday morning, or yeah, so get those in by Wednesday, and then by Thursday I should have your grades in. If there's any sort of assignments missing, you as a student, you can see by going to your progress and then grades. This is the best way to look at your current grade. The Dropbox is not the best way, because sometimes I grade by having 2 screens open, and I look at one item in the Dropbox and then actually do your grades in another window. If you're missing a grade, make sure you go back and do the assignment. For your discussions, remember those are 20% of your grade. The projects from your text, 20% of your grade. Lab simulations, which we worked on most of the semester, also 20% of your grade. And then Lab 14.2, there were some definite issues with that. I was hoping they had that cleaned up. But I'll go ahead and hand grade that 20% of your grade there. I will go through that very generously and make sure I do that. The final exam opens this week along with test 4, so please make sure to get those in and done. Go back here. I should start grading later today and this weekend. I do have quite a bit of meetings coming up, so make sure to get those in. Make sure you do the test, the final exam. Make sure you get into the security policy in the Dropbox. Once again, if you're missing any assignments, please go back and do them. And there's one thing that I saw yesterday that I thought was pretty interesting. It was this little short, pretty short article on infosecurity-magazine.com. It's one of the things I usually read or have in my reading list, just so I'm more aware of kind of what's going on. Basically, we get a rundown of what the U.S. has telling people they should not buy, but then we get the reflection that, does the government have a bias towards software offered in different countries, using it here in the U.S. So it shouldn't take you too long to read. A very small article, as you see, but please read it. Very good. InfoSecurity magazine is a great place to just read articles in general. If you'd like to know more, I would say I subscribe to a few security websites just so I keep in touch with what's going on, just in case I don't hear about it. But that's about it for this week. Make sure we read chapter 15 and get those assignments in. Once again, pay attention to the discussion, because it does change.